thoughts about this.
Yeah, it's been a long week coming from Vegas straight here, but obviously excited to be here. Great opportunity. Our players played really well throughout the season and during the conference to be able to have this opportunity. So it's awesome to be in Indy.
And then one more reminder to raise your hand to ask a question and we'll call on you. Craig Fooey, lead us off.
Hey, Bryce, appreciate the time, man. I know you're busy. It's got to be a lot of fun for you and a lot of fun for the guys just to be there. How do you get them focused now, looking past all the hoopla surrounding it, to focus in on a game on Saturday?
Usually when you're at home and you go back to campus and you practice at home, for a school that's going to the first time, there's, many distractions, which are good distractions because it's an exciting time. So actually being here in Indy and being in the bubble, it actually allows you to be a little bit more focused because, we're not allowed to leave. You can't go out and see family, friends, and, it really keeps you together. Now, the downside of that is you're together a lot and you don't really get to go outside very much. So again, I think our guys done a really good job focusing and trying to stay, motivated during this layoff before the game starts.
We'll go Mark McClune, then Cam Cox.
Hey, Bryce, thank you for the time today. Congratulations. Hey, just curious, what's the over under this time of year? How many times you get asked to tell the story about the shot?
It matters what year. If you go back, years ago, it was quite often through. Can you guys hear okay?
We got you, Coach.
We got you now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, the internet is spotty where we are. There's some areas of the hotel that it doesn't work. So, we're doing the best we can. So sorry about that.
No worries. You mind just kind of queuing it back up? Because I'm sure you get asked to tell the story a lot this time of year. So what's the over under on how many times you tell the story about the shot?
Many years ago, it was a lot more frequent. Through the years, it's not as often. So this year's only been, a handful of times.
What do you mind? I mean, telling us your version. I mean, just how much that moment in time changed your life, and for it to come full circle, and you would be in the tournament with GCU. What's it mean?
A lot of similarities. For when I was at Valpo, was the first time that we had won a game in the NCAA tournament. With GCU, the first time our school's been in the NCAA tournament. So anytime you do a first, there's a lot of excitement to it. And I think just going back to that moment, it was obviously extremely gratifying. My dad was coaching, my brother was the assistant, I was a senior, and I've always dreamed of playing the NCAA tournament and making winning shots during games. So it was kind of like everything got to come full circle in those couple moments.
Appreciate it. We're on Cam Cox.
Hey, Coach, given everything that's going on, all the protocols, you can't leave your room much. You can only see your team. Does it still feel like the NCAA tournament in your eyes?
It does because, we're at the hotel where that huge bracket is, and, we just got to go outside and get our picture taken with the bracket. So when you see the bracket, that gives you more the normality that it's an NCAA tournament. But the overall experience is very different, from not being able to go back to campus to not really being able to go outside your hotel And so the experience for, the student athletes is definitely different. But with that said, it's neat to be with some of the other teams and see, other coaches, other players that, that they've played AAU against. And so there are some advantages, to what we're in also.
I hear you guys pass Iowa a few times a day. Do y'all say anything to them?
No, I think we had this in the WAC tournament. We were in the same hotel with all the teams, so we're pretty familiar of walking by and seeing teams that we're gonna go play a day later.
Sierra Santos, then Tim Booth.
What has the preparation been like this week? What are the practices like? How long are you practicing? All that good stuff.
Again, the NCAA has done a really good job. I mean, there's 68 teams here, and they're trying to organize practice times all within the convention center, weight room times, obviously setting up all the meals for all the teams. So, I think, you have to be able to adapt some. Everything's not going to be perfect, but it's been good from a practice perspective. We get an hour and a half a day on the court. So, once you hit it with the ball, it starts, and once it hits zero, balls are up. And so you have to try to get a lot in a short amount of time during practice. And then, we've tried to keep it going a little bit with our guys. We'll have, whether it be a meeting, last night we played a team game in our team room. Tonight we'll do film. So trying to keep them, somewhat occupied too, so they don't just lay in their room all day.
Tim.
Hey, Bryce. Not to take you back to 1998 again, but I think one of the things that stood out about that game was you're playing at a neutral site and the crowd starts to get on the side of the underdog and sort of can lift a team in that situation in a close game like that. How different do you think these games are going to be, even though there are going to be a limited number of fans just being played in mostly stale environments?
Yeah, that's a really good observation. We actually talked about that as a staff the other day. And, one of the things when you're the lower seed you really enjoy is usually every fan in the building, except for the other team, gets behind you. So whether it be the game before yours, the game after yours, like they're cheering for the underdog. So, I definitely think that'll be missed, in this NCAA tournament. But we have, again, I think we have the best fans in the country, a group called the Havocs. If you haven't heard of them, you will on Saturday. And, they have a really good ability to turn a neutral site into a home game for GCU. So we're hoping that happens on Saturday for us.
Let's go Kevin Fiedler and then Howard Fendrich.
Hey, Coach. Obviously this being the first time in the conference or in the NCAA tournament for Grand Canyon, how do you ensure that the players, at game time, still understand and savor the moment of playing in the NCAA tournament, but also go out there and do their job to say?
And that'll be a great question. You can ask them, after me, because, I'll be curious, what their thoughts on are that too. But, I think as a coach, you're worried about having a game plan in. You're really concentrating on trying to give your team the best opportunity to win. The other things, the stuff that you look inside their heart or in their mind, we can talk about some of those things, but again, they have to be mentally ready. They have to be physically ready, when that game starts. And we're approaching this like all the other games we approached all year. Again, we're prepping. We get a week prep like our conference games and trying to keep the same similar type schedule that our guys are comfortable with.
Howard.
Thanks. Bryce, I want to ask you about one shining moment, which you got a chance to star in back then. I'm wondering, was that on your radar before that shot in '98? Were you aware of that montage that would play? Did you know the song at all? Were you looking forward to seeing it afterwards?
I mean, my dad was a coach. I grew up college basketball fan. I'd sneak out of my room at night to try to watch the championship game. Eventually my dad would let me and my brother come down and watch it. So I've always loved college basketball, as I've loved the NCAA tournament. As far as, what I thought would happen beyond it, I had no clue. I was so focused on, my senior year, that I wanted to win that game so bad. We had 6 seniors. And I mean, to show you how excited we were to win is, we went back to the hotel staying, at the Holiday Inn. I remember that's where we were staying in Oklahoma City. And they actually played, the clip on ESPN, reviewing the game. And I remember our team just going nuts, like, hey, we're on ESPN, we're on ESPN. So obviously times have changed, throughout the years with social media and how much you can see things. But for me, the main focus was just on winning and trying to advance in the tournament.
Curious, have you ever, I know some coaches will show one shining moment clips to their players, maybe to recruits. I'm just wondering, have you ever done that with your players?
We have. So we've used that to show them just so they can feel the excitement and want to be part of it.
Do you show yours?
No. If it didn't happen 5 minutes ago on Twitter, they could care less about what happened, years ago.
Thank you.
Let's go to Kellen King and then John Title.
Yeah, Coach, as you said, it's your first time making the tournament in the program's history. So could you just talk about what that means for the program? But also, is it a little bit bittersweet that you won't be able to have the full stadium? And I know you guys have a great student section. Maybe some of them will be there, but not having the full experience.
I feel GCU is the best kept secret in college basketball. We have unbelievable facilities, unbelievable support. Again, I think the best fan base, in the country from our student section. And so, everything happens in steps. Things don't happen overnight, and just really proud of our team and what they've accomplished in 1 year. And, hopefully we can use this as momentum, to keep building in the future. But, again, I love this program. I think, hopefully the country is going to know about us more and more.
John.
Hey, Coach, 2 questions. Back in your Vandy days, you faced all those lottery picks from Kentucky. So I wanted to know where Garza ranks among the best players you've ever had to coach against. And secondly, if your brother's in the Final Four, do you know if you or your family will be able to join him there?
If he's in the Final Four, God willing, we'll definitely be there watching them. Hopefully, they're letting more people in with tickets and all. And as far as Garza, he's such a unique player. His ability to score and where he scores and how he scores and how hard he plays and uses his body. There's really no one, that I faced. He kind of reminds me of a little bit bigger, better version of how he posts, like a Mark Matson when he was at Stanford. Just so good with his footwork around the basket. But Garza, again, has the ability to step out and make threes and make shots. So there's a reason he was Player of the Year last year. And there's a reason why he's first team All-American. And that's because he's a really, really good player.
Richard Ober and then Christopher Bone.
Yeah, hi, Bryce. Nobody's going to give you a chance to win this game against Iowa, and probably nobody's going to give Midgard a chance to to perform well against a guy like Garza. What do you tell these guys? Being a big underdog like you were as a player, what do you try to get through to these guys about that?
Richard, our big focus this week again is us and our game plan. We want to be able to do things that we've done all year. We want to be able to execute. We want to be able to defend, rebound the basketball. And, as Bjorn's been a huge part of what we do, so much that we do offensively, goes through him with him, getting touches, establishing stuff on the block. And then defensively, he's been, the anchor on the inside of our defense. So, for the last 2 months, he hasn't seen a normal defense against them. It's either been doubling off guards, it's been fronting with guys in the back, doubling big to big. So, we'll see how Iowa's going to defend them. But again, we're looking forward to, as Bjorn having another player, his size that he can be able to go against.
Yeah, Coach, my question is just basically, how much do you make of the David versus Goliath kind of trope that's used every March, especially in a 2-15 or a 3-14 or even a 1-16 matchup as someone who's played in the tournament? How much weight do you give in that? And kind of how do you address the topic with your team ahead of a game against a team like Iowa?
Well, it's twofold. One is, all of our players, I mean, they know basketball, they're intelligent. You know, we're a 15 seed, you know, they're a 2 seed. In the history, it's 8 and 132 is that record. And so the percents are not with you winning that game, but it has been done. And, you know, it first has to start with the belief system, you know, that you have to believe it. And then, you know, you have to be prepared. You have to prepare to be able to win. And again, as a coach, I'm big about process and taking steps. And, you know, this week is all about, you know, trying to prepare that we can be in a situation, you know, that these guys can hopefully go out and perform at a high level.
Michael Potter, then Austin Montgomery.
Hey, Coach, obviously the Garza Midgard matchup is going to be fun to watch. Are there any other matchups individually that intrigue you out there on the floor?
You know, when you get to a game of this caliber and you make the NCAA tournament, you know, every matchup is important, you know, 1 through 5 on the court. And, you know, they have a really good point guard. We have a really good point guard. You know, they have some really good shooters. You know, we have a 4-man who can really shoot the ball. And so, you know, every matchup is going to be important, especially when, you know, you're playing as an underdog. You know, you have to try to be able to get an advantage, you know, somewhere on the court. And, you know, that'll be something for this game to see, you know, which positions hopefully some of our guys can make some good things happen out there for us.
And Coach, everyone, when you talk about Iowa, everyone talks about Garza, but they do a really good job of running the break and scoring on transition. What's the key for you guys to control the pace and just limit those easy baskets Iowa is so good at getting?
You know, they're second in the country in offense, obviously because they're very efficient. Again, they're top 5 in the country and not turning the ball over. So, you know, we know defensively it's going to be a tremendous challenge for us. You know, our biggest thing is we want to, you know, we don't want to give them baskets. We don't want to give them, you know, unearned points. They're going to score the ball. They're too good offensively not to. We just defensively want to make sure that they're earning points and, you know, we're not giving them to them.
Amy, then Craig.
Hey, Coach. Illinois had great success in bodying up Garza on over the weekend and literally moving him. Do you feel like your bigs are able to do something similar?
You know, sometimes you never know till you get out there and you play against an opponent. You know, obviously the advantage Illinois had is they've played against Garza for a couple years. So, you know, it's trial and error. You know, you might see what somewhat kind of works against them and then, you know, what absolutely doesn't work against them. So, you know, until we get out in the game and we really see if, you know, how those matchups and how our defense is going, you know, I can't really answer that question fully. You know, we're sure hoping that we can make things, you know, somewhat hard for him. But again, he's probably one of the best scoring bigs in the last decade. I mean, he just scores it at a high pace. So whatever we do, you know, he's going to find ways to score.
Hey, Coach, just let's go back a few months. When did you and your staff sit down in the office and look at each other and just say, hey, we have a team that can win the WAC. We have a team that can make the tournament. When did you know that as you were assembling this roster?
You know, I think the guys, they've worked really hard all year. And, you know, it's really hard when you get a new coaching staff. Sometimes that trust factor isn't there. You know, we really made big strides. There was a stretch in December that we played Nevada and then Arizona State. And then San Francisco, who was really playing well at the time, had just beat Virginia, and Colorado, who ended up, you know, having a great year in the pack. So kind of after that run, you know, we showed a lot of improvement. And, you know, we thought that if we could keep improving, that we could hopefully make some noise in conference. And it's really credit to our team. Again, even though we had a 17-day quarantine layoff, a 19-day layoff, you know, all after our non-conference, our guys really responded and kept working hard and improving.
Last two for Coach, Paul Coro and Tim Booth.
You talked about when you played your best 3 games down the stretch there about how good the tone was and their approach, but still loose. Have you seen that change, or have you been able to maintain that now that you're getting to the bigger moments and a bigger stage?
You know, Paul, it changes. just with the dynamic of travel, we're 3 time zones away practically. The sleeping's been different. Our practice times are sometimes in the morning, sometimes later at night, sometimes in the afternoon. And so to get in a routine and rhythm has been, a lot different than a week when we know when we're practicing, we know what we're eating, we know what we're doing. And so I think the guys have done a really good job adjusting and trying to make the most out of the short amount of court time that we've had. So, you always want to play your best at the end of the week and your best, when the game comes. And, that's what we're gearing these practices towards, that we can be at our best on Saturday.
Bryce, I know you guys aren't playing there, but as the Indiana native, I'm wondering if you can speak to what it means to have tournament games being played at Hinkle Fieldhouse and kind of what that venue meant to you coming up.
Well, being from Indiana, Hinkle's a special place. I got to, coach against Brad Stevens there when I was at Valpo. And I think my dad coached his very first game when he was at Valpo was against Butler at Butler. So that was the first game that I got to see as a son, in Hinkle with my dad coaching. And so just so much history and tradition there. And for me, when they announced the tournament was coming back to Indiana, the antennas kind of went up how awesome that would be if our team could make it here. So it's been remarkable. This has been just a great, week so far for us. And again, hopefully we can really represent Grand Canyon and the WAC well come Saturday.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Let's bring on.
Very exciting for us. The first time in the school history. So it's pretty big. Excited we get to play Iowa, number 2 seed. So we're just excited and ready.
Let's go Mark McClune and Richard Obert. Hey, thanks for the time. Congratulations on being there. Hey, Coach kind of downplayed his shot in the NCAA tournament in 1998 and said the team only cares what happened 10 minutes ago on Twitter. Have you guys watched that as a team, and have you visualized, yourself having a one shining moment like your coach did in the NCAA tournament?
I don't think we watched it as a team, but of course it was a big moment, and of course I visualized myself or seeing myself hitting a big shot or wanting to hit a big shot. So yeah.
Richard.
Yeah, Jovan, being kind of an overwhelming underdog in this game, does that play into you? Is that what you like to be considered coming into a game? A team like Iowa with their big and then their guard play is so good. What does that do to you? You're always even keel on the court, but emotionally deep down, how are you coming into this? What kind of mindset?
For the season, we've been more so like not underdogs. But coming in here, we're underdogs, of course. We don't let that get to us. Coming in here, just going to practice what we practice, keep doing what we do, follow our structure, and go out there and have fun.
Kevin Fielder and Paul Coro.
Hey, Javon, I asked Coach the same question. I figured I'd get a player's perspective on it. Excuse me. Obviously this being the first time in Grand Canyon's history that they're in the NCAA tournament, how do you both enjoy the moment and then make sure that, when the ball is tipped against Iowa, you guys are ready to get the job done?
We're all basketball players. Of course, this is probably the biggest moments of our lives, our college careers. But we just got to think of it like we're basketball players. It's another team, good team, but it's basketball at the end of the day.
Javon, what was the progression of your season like that you ended up playing at your best at the end of the year in the tournament, where your playmaking and your perimeter shooting and your defense all kind of came together at that one stretch?
Well, this was a whole new team, new coaching staff. So in the beginning, we were adapting to each other, got comfortable, and so happened everything was fortunate to come as it did at the end of the season for me. So it just took time.
Christopher Bowen.
Yeah, Javon, I'm just curious to get your thoughts on, every March, lower seeded teams always get the David versus Goliath comparison thrown at them. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that and being a lower seeded team and, facing off against a team like Iowa in the first round.
Coming from the WAC, with our expectations to make it here, we weren't expected to be top dogs coming into March Madness. So it's nothing like too overwhelming. It's basketball, good team, Iowa. We just gotta scout them and play basketball.
Mike O'Brien and then John Teetle.
I'm curious. We were talking to the Iowa players earlier, and they were kind of detailing what their days have been like, kind of locked down in the hotel. If you don't mind, kind of walking me through what your day's like. To my understanding, it's 12 to 14 hours, somewhat alone by yourself in your hotel room. Given you guys traveled from a decent distance, what'd you bring with you? What are you doing to kind of pass the time when you're not practicing on the court?
Like he said, we're in our rooms for most of the time. I brought a game console with me personally to keep me occupied. But other than that, we just been in our rooms. We'll have practice. We'll come down for dinner and stuff like that. But it's just been lonely.
John?
Hey, Javon, I was curious if your high school coach, Mike Bibby, taught you anything about what it takes to win games in March.
I wouldn't say he taught me how to win games in March, but he definitely taught me a lot. Definitely taught me how to win and what it means to be a winner. So shout out to Mike Bibby.
Sierra Santos, then Mark McClune.
I was going to ask you a similar question about what your routine is like, but whose room are you in?
Currently?
Yes.
We have a snack room. We have a whole floor to ourselves, so we have a snack room, and this is in this setup.
How are the snacks?
Typical are Cliff bars, granola bars, fruit snacks.
Mark?
Hey, for you personally, big games I know everybody wants to play in. How do you prepare for the excitement, the nerves? Would you like to be a little nervous? Do you feel like it helps? How do you feel like you're going to, try to get yourself and your team's feet on the ground the first couple minutes to really, lock in against Iowa?
Well, like I say now, it's we're just going out there, play basketball, go out there free. When I get out there, I feel like it's going to hit me. But just got to keep it calm and trust my what I work on, trust what we do as a team. We practice every day. We play basketball every day. Just go out there and have fun, play basketball.
Last one for Javon. We'll go to Paul Coro.
Coach said you guys played a game in the team room the other night. What'd you guys play and who won?
It was a real fun game. I don't know the name of it, and it's kind of difficult to describe. But I don't think I don't think we got a winner, but the way the game went, it was a person who was mafia and he was killing off people. It was a detective who had to figure it out. But the mafia person would blend in as well. So you had to stay put. And I was one of the mafias and I made it we went all the way to the wire, basically. It was very fun.
Better than your game console?
Yeah, honestly, yes, it was. It was.
All right, thanks, Javon.
I mean, it's what every college basketball player wants to go. It's in March. It's March Madness. It's as simple as that.
All right, Richard Obert.
Hey, Ash, congratulations. Man, getting to this moment now in your life, and you're going up against maybe the best player in the nation, in Garza. I mean, how do you coming in with a huge underdog, even though, you're 7 feet, 270. I mean, how do you approach this without, trying to hold up your game against him?
Well, I'm going to prepare the same way as I've done the whole season. I mean, obviously he's a player of the year candidate for a reason, and we gotta have emphasis on that. And he's an unbelievable player, and I'm excited. It's going to be a fun matchup. It'll be really exciting.
Craig Fouie.
Yes, describe the trip from Las Vegas going. How excited were you guys after winning the WAC and getting on that plane and going, hey, we are in March Madness. We're going to Indy. How exciting was that trip for you guys?
I mean, it was so cool. We went to the airport and we had this huge plane where we could have our own seats. And then when we got to Indy, there was 3 buses and there was the police patrol. Like we got an escort, and I think that's when it hit us when we got into Indy and we saw the March Madness banners. And I mean, it was unbelievable. We were all filming with our cameras and like, look, we got an escort. Like, this is unbelievable.
And now you've had to turn the focus to playing a game on Saturday.
Yeah, that's correct. We can't have too much excitement in that way. Like we got to get over that at some point and get to the basketball.
Christopher Bone.
Yeah, I'm curious to get your opinion on, every March, I'm sure if you've watched the tournament for years, that David versus Goliath trope is thrown out a lot in these early round matchups. How much stock do you put in that as kind of being the David? And, how strong do you guys think your slingshot's going to be?
Well, as I said earlier, we're going to try and prepare as we always do. And, we won games and so we won't try and do much different. Of course, every game is different, and this game is going to be unbelievably difficult because they are so great on offense. They have one of the best offenses in college basketball. So, but every game is different. But in the end of the day, we just got to play, and we just got to go out and have some fun.
Paul Coral and Sierra Santos.
Yeah, how much is it helping that Jamal Walker's been sort of in charge of your defense all year, and he's got that experience of facing Garza as part of Illinois staff the past few years?
I mean, it's been good. We've been fortunate enough that he's been in Illinois for a while, so he's familiar with Iowa. So we're definitely trying to use that to our advantage.
What's been the most challenging part of this week?
Well, it's when we just got here, there was an extra precaution in quarantining, so we had to quarantine again, and we had to stay in our rooms for a certain amount of time before we could even go out and eat together in the team room. So that was probably one of the heavier things. Once we just came off a win, and they're like, oh, okay, now we got quarantine sitting here by ourselves. So I would say that was probably it.
Mark McClune, then Michael Potter.
Hey, thanks for the time. Congratulations on being there. Curious how much in the past you've watched one shining moment at the end of the NCAA tournament, the video with all the highlights, and then how much have you watched your coach's one shining moment in his game-winning shot in 1998?
Right, I've seen that before, that's for sure. The one shining moment where we see all the cool highlights, and I mean I've seen the shot. I think everyone has seen the shot. That's why it's called the shot. Oh yeah.
Hey, Ash, you guys are playing your best basketball these last 3 games. You guys have really been locked in. Why do you think that is? Did something click, or what do you think the reason for that is?
That's a good question. I mean, we are, every team tried to play their best in March. And I think we just found a way to, I think in the last couple of games, we had a couple of losses. And I think that was a good wake-up call. So our focus had to step up even more. And I think that was part of it.
Anything else for Ash? All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining.